There's a moment that keeps repeating in your life. At the beginning of anything new, you feel electric. Focused. Alive. Certain this time will be different. You tell yourself, this is it. I've finally found my thing. And then, weeks pass. The excitement fades. The work feels heavier. And one day you wake up uninterested. So you quit. Again. And every time it happens, the same question shows up in your mind: why can't I stay motivated like other people? Here's the uncomfortable truth no one tells you: motivation was never meant to last. And if you rely on it, you will always quit. But here's the part most people miss: polymath minds don't lose motivation because they're weak. They lose motivation because they outgrow stimulation faster than the environment evolves. Let me explain. We live in a culture obsessed with motivation. Morning routines. Quotes. Speeches. Discipline over motivation. But none of that explains why some people lose interest faster than others, even when they care deeply. Because the real issue isn't motivation. It's novelty decay. Your brain is wired to chase new patterns. When something becomes predictable, your attention drops. For most people, this happens slowly. For polymaths, it happens fast. You don't quit because you're bored. You quit because your brain has already mapped the terrain. Once the learning curve flattens, your mind says, I've extracted the insight. There's nothing new here. And motivation disappears. Not because you failed. But because the growth signal stopped. This is why traditional advice doesn't work for you. People tell you, just push through. Just be consistent. Just stay disciplined. But that advice assumes something dangerous. It assumes your brain is motivated by repetition. It's not. Your brain is motivated by meaningful complexity. When the task stops evolving, you stop showing up. And then comes the shame. You start thinking, I lack discipline. I never finish. I'm unreliable. But look closer. You didn't quit at the beginning. You didn't quit when it was hard. You quit when it became familiar. That changes everything. Here's the pattern most polymaths fall into without realizing it. They treat every pursuit like a destination. Learn guitar, master guitar. Start coding, become a developer. Begin writing, become a writer. But polymath minds aren't built for linear ladders. They're built for systems. The mistake isn't quitting. The mistake is staying inside a system that stopped feeding your curiosity. Let's talk about the real reason motivation collapses. Motivation is a response, not a trait. It responds to growth, challenge, new perspectives, increasing complexity. When those disappear, motivation dies. So when you force yourself to continue something that no longer expands you, your brain rebels. Not out of laziness. Out of self-preservation. This is why brute discipline feels like burnout to you. You're asking your mind to do something it wasn't designed to do: stay still in a stagnant environment. Now here's where everything shifts. The problem isn't that you quit. It's that you quit without extracting value. Most people quit emotionally. They abandon the skill entirely. Polymaths should quit strategically. Meaning, you don't drop skills. You absorb them into a larger system. You move forward with the insight, not the identity. Think about it this way. A specialist builds depth in one direction. A polymath builds transferable intelligence. The value isn't the skill itself. The value is how that skill rewires how you think. When you learn music, you learn pattern recognition. When you learn coding, you learn systems thinking. When you learn writing, you learn clarity. Those aren't hobbies. They're cognitive upgrades. But if you treat each pursuit as isolated, it feels like starting over every time. That's exhausting. That's why you quit. Here's the reframe that changes everything: you're not inconsistent. You're iterative. You're not abandoning paths. You're harvesting them. The issue is that nobody taught you how to integrate what you learn. So your growth feels scattered instead of cumulative. This is where most polymaths either break, or break through. The breakthrough happens when you stop asking, "How do I stay motivated?" and start asking, "How does this skill upgrade my overall system?" When motivation fades, that's your signal to increase complexity, change the angle, combine the skill with another domain. Not to quit in frustration, but to evolve the challenge. Here's a practical shift. Instead of committing to outcomes, commit to frameworks. Not, "I'll be a designer." But, "I'm building visual thinking as part of my communication system." Not, "I'll master coding." But, "I'm learning automation to reduce friction in my work." When the skill serves a larger system, motivation returns. Because now you're not repeating. You're integrating. This is why polymaths struggle early in life and dominate later. Early on, the world rewards linear progress. Later, the world rewards synthesis. And synthesis is what your brain does best. So if you keep quitting, don't panic. Ask better questions. Ask, what did this teach me that transfers? Where does this fit in my bigger system? How can I combine this with what I already know? That's how momentum is built for minds like yours. Not by forcing motivation, but by designing environments that keep your curiosity alive. Here's the truth, and it might be hard to hear: you were never meant to stick to one thing forever. You were meant to build something that keeps evolving. And once you understand that, quitting stops feeling like failure. It starts feeling like progress. I'll see you in the next one.